What is going on, college sports fans, Big 12 fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos. Welcome into this special Monday night live stream edition of Coos's Corner. I'm joined here by my good friend Mountaineer Paul. May have some other folks pop on with us here shortly. Kind of a I don't want to say unplanned, but last minute decision here to do this live stream. My schedule is kind of crazy. My daughter's playing basketball. Obviously my job, so I just have to do these when I can. But Paul, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing well, Coos, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely.
Ready to talk about this, the athletic director and all that stuff.
Absolutely, man. Before we get started, everybody see Paul's Twitter handle, at Paul Mountaineer at the top of the screen. Check him out on Twitter. He's on YouTube at Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. And he and I both have our own channel called Hoops from the Hills, where we talk West Virginia Mountaineer basketball. We try to get at least 1 or 2 videos up there a week. And as we get deeper into basketball season, we will probably spend more time on that channel. But right now, we got a lot of things to talk about in the college football world. First, let's start off with the press conference today. Paul, you and I were talking a little bit before the show. New AD, Ren Baker, was introduced to the media today, and the Mountaineer fan base did a little press conference. He and along with President Gee. What was your biggest takeaway from that press conference and introduction today?
Well, he was really impressive. He really was. I was really impressed with him. For what it's worth, he had all the right things to say. Of course, he's got to put action behind a lot of these words. But, he tried to connect with the small town aspect of most Mountaineer fans, which I thought was a smart idea. He was really good at throwing the occasional joke in there to make the press conference a little lighter, try to bring some levity to the situation, because there were I feel like maybe some anxious undertones to the press conference as well, just because of everything that's happened with Shane Lyons and everything. And he did a really good job managing all that.
I agree with that. I felt like he did a good job. I mean, I thought it was just pretty much a normal press conference. I didn't see anything glaring. I was happy to hear about the fact that did you pick up on the fact that he has had multiple chances to go to other Power 5 programs to be AD?
Yeah,
and he has turned them all
down. They just kept upping his pay.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I like to think it's because he wants to be at West Virginia, but you just rained on that parade.
No. North Texas kept upping his pay.
Oh, North Texas did. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they just kept on shooting. One of the reasons he never left was because they paid him like a Power 5 AD.
I got you. Yeah.
He was making top 50 money.
Yeah, he was making I think he was making. If I read it right, I think he was making about $800,000 a year.
$800,000. That's right.
I mean, Shane Lyons was making $950,000, so he wasn't. He was up there for, like you said, for a Group of 5 job.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I took away from today was what Gordon Gee said, and I hope he misspoke here, and I hope this wasn't something he meant to say.
Lordy.
That they asked him why he decided that keeping Neil Brown was the right idea. And he basically gave excuses, said that our schedule was really hard, and that he was actually proud to be 5-7 with that schedule. And I thought I would fall out of my chair. I'm like, if you're happy with 5-7, then maybe you're the problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. What do you think about that?
It's funny. Me and you were both trying to text him at the same time.
I hear
you. Same. All I heard was excuses. Same. And really what it comes down to is, do I think had they got on the ball sooner and fired Shane Lyons sooner, do I think Neil Brown would be here? I don't. I think that their hands were tied. Sure, Neil Brown hasn't been the greatest thing at West Virginia, but he's still not the worst option believe it or not. A lot of people would probably have you think that, but there are coaches that would do worse than 5 and 6 wins a year here
Yeah.
that are out there.
Right.
So I don't subscribe that any old coach would have done better than Neil Brown. You know, it's like looking at the math at the board with 10 math problems, and 4 are wrong but 6 are right, right? Out of
Yeah.
10. You know, you can focus on the 4 that are wrong all day with Neil Brown, or the 6 that are wrong with Neil Brown all day, but he does have some that are right as well, i.e. the culture, i.e. recruiting, you know, things like that. So, you know, there are some positives to it. But yes, at the end of the day, 5 and 7 is not okay. Um, you know, he even tried to bring up the fact that he'd spoken with every athletic director. Almost sounded like he talked to every athletic director in the country, and to a man, he says they all agreed that Neil Brown should stay. Um, yeah, I would say that too if I wanted a program to keep losing.
Yeah, really. I just my take is I think Gordon Gee was just trying to answer the question the best he could without telling us everything. He probably
Right.
did not mean to say 5 and 7's okay. I don't think that was his intent. I mean, Gordon Gee is a very smart man. We all know that he's a very respected man, but he's never been the greatest speaker there is. As far as he's had a ten. I mean, heck, that's what he got in trouble for at Ohio State, was sticking his foot in his mouth, saying that's something he shouldn't have said. So he's not necessarily the probably the best guy to be answering some questions at times, but nonetheless, he did say it in a public forum, and it wasn't the. And I've seen some fans on Twitter not real happy about it. Maybe he's the problem. Maybe he's the one that needs to be fired if he's okay going 5 and 7.
Right.
But no, other than that, I mean, I thought it was a pretty basic news conference. I mean, like I said, was happy to hear that he had turned down other jobs. I was happy to hear that he really liked what he heard about Morgantown and the culture of the university, and that drew him here. But then he went on to say he'd never even been here yet. So he took this job without ever stepping foot on campus, which I thought was
Yeah.
really strange.
Yeah. It sounds like he said he's known Oliver Luck for a long time, which I thought was interesting. And so I think he was able to lean on Oliver a lot through this process. Just from the outside looking in, it looks like probably Oliver Luck said, "Hey, it's a good job," you know. And I mean, look
Yeah,
where Oliver Luck is in life now.
right.
I mean, he's been the commissioner of several leagues. Probably was in the running for Big 12 commissioner. I mean, you know, he anytime a commissioner job comes open, he's going to be in the running for it. He was our
Mhm.
athletic director at one point in time. Certainly Shane Lyons has gone on to something pretty good since he left West Virginia. He didn't take him long to get a job, although his previous record had a lot to do with that as well. And Whit Babcock, you know, anybody that's been associated with anywhere that near that department has usually gone on to do good things. So it's not a
Yeah,
bad job to take. You know, it's a good
right.
job. And it's a, you know, if you do it right, you can get a lot of support. He did talk about being frugal with money and things like that, which I thought was interesting. Um, Talking about budgeting, you know, words I didn't really want to hear, but I understand they have to be said.
Yeah. Um, a lot of comments here about prime time. Um,
Yeah,
Patrick Pepper says, and look, guys, you guys got this conversation as well. I know we're talking about the West Virginia AD, but if you guys want to, you know, feel free to throw things up in the chat. If you want to make sure I see it, you can drop a super chat if you want. That highlights it for me, so make sure I see it, and that'll guide the conversation where you want it to go. But Patrick Pepper says Prime is a good guy, but if he doesn't check himself, he is going to end up the Kanye of college football. Uh, well, as long as he doesn't start making fun of certain groups of people, he should be fine.
yeah.
Uh,
I don't think Dion's anti-Semitic.
Patrick, I don't think that's what he meant. I think Patrick just meant that he would
He's going to be canceled like Kanye.
get canceled or get himself in hot water. You know what I mean? I don't
Right,
think
right.
at least that's how I took it. Patrick says I'd be like, "Hey, Prime, how did it feel to get run over by Bo?" Uh, Hank says, "I will say that if WVU would have stepped out of their normal lane and got Prime time to coach, would have lit a huge fire for the fan base."
Sure. We
Dion,
all wanted that to happen.
WVU Mountaineer Lair with Kenny says Dion might have tougher time than we think. Oh, I don't
I
think
don't
anybody
agree
thinks
with
it's going to
that.
be easy by any means. But I think he's ready for it. I mean,
You
based
know
on
my prediction.
oh yeah. Paul's been really high on Dion, Coach Prime, whatever he wants to be called,
I
egomaniac.
think Colorado will be in the playoff inside of 3 years. That's what I say. Maybe inside of 2.
Well,
He's going to have the talent to do it. Whether or not
yeah,
the coaching is going to be there is another question. But I believe he will have as many. He'll have as many or more 5-star players there as any other big time program in the country. That's where it's going to go.
I don't know. Have you had a chance to see the video I did on it yet?
No, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, that's okay. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but the reason I ask is because I didn't want to repeat something that you already knew. But I
Oh,
talked about in there. I saw somebody put out on Twitter. I don't remember who it was. It was somebody in the media. Within 48 hours of Dion getting the job, Colorado had been contacted by over 200 recruits.
yeah.
Between the transfer portal and high school combined. Over 200 in 48
He's
hours.
going to have his pick.
He's going to take and one of the players that they're going after, unfortunately, is Amari Snowden, someone who's decommitted from Cincinnati and West Virginia is going hard after. I mean, that might hurt our chances, but he not every kid can go to Colorado, and not every kid's going to want to go to Colorado because some may not want to move out west. Or there will still be some young men who will want to go to other schools, but it's definitely, I think it's going to be really tougher for the schools like the Oregons, the Arizonas, the Arizona States, the Pac-12 schools are going to be the ones that are really going to be competing the most. I think anyway, with those for those players. Even and heck, even the USC's and UCLA's for that matter. I mean, because he's going to be able to go into California and get some kids, no doubt about it.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
And I think that's one of the reasons he probably took the job because it gets him close to that LA market where he's close enough to go into LA and recruit.
It's a good point.
WV Mountaineer Kenny says, I hear they are coming to the Big 12 soon. I'll believe it when I see it, Kenny. I know that's been out there in the media a lot, but
Their stock has never been higher now that they've hired him. Listen, people can say what they want, but the right coach can make a world difference to a program as far as the national outlook on it.
mm-hmm.
I mean, even the Big Ten probably is looking at him now. You know, if they knew he was going to stay there, I mean, if Florida State was open, we know he'd be there tomorrow.
Right.
You know, but at least you think he would be. It makes you wonder. TCU went 12-0 with Sonny Dykes this year. He was a candidate for them. I wonder if they kicked themselves not hiring Dion, even though they just went 12-0. Well, 12-1.
Right. I don't know, man. Does make you wonder because like you said, they did kick the tires on it last year. But you know, as of today, I will say they're probably fine with their decision because obviously they're getting ready to go to the CFP, which actually segues perfectly into my next topic. Did the CFP committee get it right with the 4 teams they selected? Paul, what do you think?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, really, there was the the teams that won and the teams that lost really made the decision for them. I mean, could they have forced a 2-loss Bama or a 3-loss whoever in over TCU? Sure, I guess they could have. Um, I sent you the video earlier. Did you watch the Stephen A. Smith reaction yet again?
Not yet. No.
It's
I'm
going to
sure.
piss you off just like it did last time.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'll watch it. Just to be honest with you.
He basically said he made fun of TCU and Kansas State both. You know, but to Stephen A. Smith, who knows very little about college football, those teams probably are no better than Group of 5 schools in his mind. You know,
yeah.
He probably doesn't realize they actually do play some good football there. You
Yeah,
know,
he's probably never even watched them play.
probably not. You know, he really believes that TCU will get boat raced by anybody that they play in the CFP, and maybe they will. I
get
certainly
tired.
think they're very flawed,
Yeah.
but
They are. But you know what? Here's my argument to that, and we hear that argument every year about somebody. Last year it was about Cincinnati. But here's
yeah,
my answer to that. Nobody says a word when Notre Dame gets boat raced in the CFP. Nobody says a
right,
word when Oklahoma gets boat raced in the CFP. Well,
yeah,
other than saying the Big 12 is not any good. Nobody says
Right.
any word when last year when Michigan got butt raced by Georgia in the CFP. No, I didn't hear one person say Michigan didn't deserve to be there after that game. Not one. But yet everybody talked about how Cincinnati didn't deserve to be there when they probably played Alabama closer than Michigan played Georgia. You know,
Tell you what, man,
it makes no sense.
I've in almost any other circumstance, I've always been somebody that likes Michigan, partly because I hate Ohio State so much. I think that has a lot to do with it. When they succeed, people that like Ohio State get mad.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to be pulling so hard for TCU in these playoffs, and I think for the credibility of our league going forward, this could be one of the most. And this is a pretty cool question. I think, is this game with TCU and Michigan the most important in new Big 12 history? I think it would have to be obviously yes. Going forward for the credibility of this league, they win that game, and then coming in the next year, I think people have to give us some respect.
I agree with that. I mean, they're going to be, yeah. I mean, to me, even if the game's close, I mean, even if it's a close game, within a touchdown going down the stretch, I think it'll help some. But obviously, winning
I
it
would
would
like
be.
to think that, but I don't think people will give us the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, you're
They
right.
just they love to I just don't think they would give it to us on it.
Yeah,
But
you're
I would
probably
like,
right.
because they love to hate us so much.
Mm-hmm.
They love to make us feel less than so much.
Agreed. But yeah, I mean, it would tickle me to death. And look, I'll be honest with you, TCU's probably my least favorite Big 12 team. I'm not gonna lie, but new Big 12 team. Let me rephrase that. New Big 12 team, probably my
Over
least favorite.
Cincinnati,
Yeah, I don't hate
really,
Cincinnati yet. Haven't had. I
I
mean, we
do.
haven't played them in forever.
The Tony Pike 2 point conversion, God, it still breaks my heart.
Well, it's been. I guess it's been so long since we played them,
Right.
and we
Yeah.
didn't play them but a few years there.
I'll
Well, I
never
mean,
get over that
I don't know.
Tony Pike.
Houston probably will be at first because of Dana, but my point being, of all the teams in the new Big 12, let's say the irate eight, of all the irate eight teams, or the remaining eight, whatever you want to call it, TCU is probably my least favorite for various reasons. But because they represent the Big 12 conference, I'm going to be cheering for them like crazy because we need that win and that respect nationally that we never get.
Agreed.
So, um, do you think? What do you think about one of my big issues? And I struggle with this. I go back and forth a little bit on it, but it almost seems a little unfair that USC gets to play their conference title game because they earned it. They lose the game and they get knocked out because they lost the game that Ohio State was not even able to earn their way into. Does that make sense? Meaning the
Yeah.
conference title game.
You're right.
That
I
almost
get what you're saying.
that almost seems
Counterintuitive.
yeah. I mean, how is that? So a team that didn't even earn a spot in their conference title game gets in when a team that did earn a spot doesn't. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Um, I don't know. That's a tough question. I guess as Ohio State, um, they obviously lost to another playoff team as their only loss. Um,
That's true.
similar to similar to TCU, except Kansas State's not quite a playoff team, and they already beat them once. So Ohio State could technically do the reverse of that. And beat Michigan, and it would be the same thing that TCU has done. You know,
Yeah.
um, up until now. I was wondering the other day. I bet TCU would have taken a loss early at Kansas State and a win in the Big 12 title game. I wonder if they would have taken that, knowing how it turned out with them getting the 3 seed.
Yeah. I don't know.
Just
Good
makes you
question.
wonder.
Yeah. But I mean, that just makes me glad, even more glad that the expanded playoffs coming because that's going to solve all that. Because if the expanded playoff were here, USC would probably still be getting in as a
Right.
at large berth.
But what about like Tulane and teams like that? Like there's always going to be the debate.
Yeah.
Listen to Josh Pate. He thinks it's going to be like, he thinks it's going to be anarchy, man. I was trying to listen to him the other day, and like, he truly thinks that the expansion of the college football playoff waters down the product.
I know he's dead set against it and has been.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic that I'm open minded to listen to more information on, because I can't say that I've researched that enough to say I have an answer or an opinion yet.
Right.
For the longest time, I felt like the expansion was good, and I hate to let one person change my mind, but listening to some of his points, I see where he's trying to come from.
Oh, I get it. I mean, I don't. I mean, I respect his opinion. I just totally disagree with it. I just don't. I can't wrap my brain around why it's bad for college football. I know they say the regular season won't mean as much, but you still have to earn your way into the playoff. So how, if you don't get in your top, if you don't get in your conference, the regular season gets you into the conference championship game, which if you win gets you into the playoff. So how does the regular season not mean anything? You see what I mean? I just I don't see that argument making any sense. And if as far as the at large teams, how good you are in the regular season will determine if you get an at large bid or not. Right?
Right.
So
Yes.
this argument that it waters down the regular season. Now, if they want to say it makes the bowl games more meaningless, okay.
That's one of his big arguments.
But they're kind of already meaningless anyway, to be honest with you. Are they not?
Well, he calls people that say that casual fans. And like, that's exactly the opinion I had. Obviously, we're putting a lot of stock into what one person says with that, but
I get it.
He says, and the casuals will tell you that the bowl games already don't mean anything. So I don't know if by saying casuals, is that supposed to deter people from feeling a certain way? I don't know.
I mean, I don't think they're meaningless. I'm not speaking for myself. I'm just saying that the general consensus, it seems like, amongst the at-large population and the media, is that they don't mean anything already. I mean, they've kind of already set that narrative to me. So that's the way I look at it. I mean, obviously, if my team's playing in a bowl game, I'm going to watch it. But I'll be straight up with you. If Northern Illinois is playing Navy in a bowl game, I'm not watching it. I'm sorry. I'm just
really?
Not that, no, I'm just not. I don't have time. I'd love to, but I don't have the time. I've got, a job,
right.
family.
I get you.
Plus, if it's on at the same time as West Virginia basketball, I'm watching West Virginia basketball. You know what I mean? So Virginia, my West Virginia fandom comes first before my college football fandom, if that makes sense.
I'm dead set with you on that.
Yeah. So maybe he would probably call me a casual, and that's fine. I could accept that label if he wants to call me that.
Well, it's almost a form of shaming, isn't it? Really? It's kind of a form of shaming, yeah, in a way.
I guess not to me, but to some it might be.
Well, to say that I don't love college football and I'm obsessed with it would be retarded. No, I shouldn't say that. Ridiculous.
Right. Well, I mean, I love it too, but at the same time, I can't watch every single game because my life just doesn't allow for that.
Right. You know if you were Josh Pate, you could. Right.
Yeah,
that means that's your job.
Because he does this for a living.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not where Josh.
We're just trying to get there.
Yeah. Boom, bingo. But no, I mean, I love Josh Pate. I'm not here to trash Josh Pate at all. I respect the heck out of that guy and absolutely love his work. So don't nobody think I'm sitting here trashing Josh Pate, but because I'm not. I just disagree with his opinion on this one topic.
Yeah, I don't think he would care that you disagree with one opinion.
He would.
He's
Yeah.
He just seems the kind of guy that's going to. He's one of them kind of dudes that would rib on his friends.
Oh yeah.
He seems like
Yeah, he is. He seems like a dude who would be cool to sit and have a drink with.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's I love Josh, but no, I see both sides of the argument. But personally, I'm tickled to death because I think college football needs the expanded playoff because it gives teams like a West Virginia, like a Kansas State,
it's great for us,
like an Oregon, like a pit. Like any team you name that's in a Power 5 conference that's not the Big Ten or the SEC, even the Group of 5, Tulane would have gotten in this year. Tulane would have gotten in the CFP this year had it been 12 teams.
And they could maybe make some noise. And I'm not saying within the Final Four, but if there were 12 teams, Tulane's better than the top 12. I'll tell you what, they're as good as any of the top 12 teams in the country outside of the 4 that are playing.
Yeah, I mean, they've already beaten Kansas State.
I would not be shocked if they beat TCU on a neutral field.
Yeah,
at all.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. They could beat. I think they could beat TCU. I think they could beat USC potentially, because USC can score, but their defense is not that great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could beat Utah. I think they could. There's a lot of teams they could beat. I don't think I don't think they're beating Georgia. I don't think they're beating Michigan necessarily. Maybe not even Ohio State. But but you never know. They might compete with them and give them everything they can handle.
Maybe.
But you know what? I want to find out because I want to see them get that chance. That's the beauty of the expanded playoff. Is to give those teams like Tulane a chance. And let's talk about portal madness, baby. Today was the first day that the transfer portal was open to all FBS players, regardless of whether your coach had been fired or not. Already been a lot of huge names in the portal. Brennan Armstrong, Phil Dracovic, DJ Uyunglele, just to name 3 off the top of my head. Keaton Slovis, who's already – I'm sorry, Phil Dracovic is already transferred to – now he's transferring to
Pitt. He's there. He's there.
I mean, Devin Leary. I was trying to think of the NC State quarterback's name. Devin Leary's in the portal already. Yep. West Virginia's had 2 players so far. Reese Smith went in the portal. Will Goose Crowder's in the portal from the Mountaineers. I think we've got more to come.
That was a tough one to swallow for me.
Which one?
Goose.
Really? I kind of saw. I mean, I think I was expecting it.
Yeah, but he honestly had the potential to be the best of them all. I'm not kidding on that. You know, but
and I agree. But apparently the coaching staff didn't feel that way.
That's they haven't been very right on that subject here lately.
Well, I can't argue that one.
But
my personal opinion,
it seems like they go with feelings and emotions over logic. Your personal opinion is?
Sorry, I was reading a comment. All arrows are pointing to Colorado from the portal. Oh, yeah, I guess he's talking about. I thought he was referring to one specific team, but I think he's just talking about everybody. But the thing is, Silas. I mean, the thing is, Hank, they can only have 85 players on scholarship, so they can't get them all.
You know what though? Based on what he told everybody in that meeting you were talking about there, he's probably going to boot 40 or 50 of them players out of there.
I know.
Very possibly.
Yep.
Which would be wild. If you give Deion Sanders 50 scholarships, I don't even know what to say. What would happen?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of, not to change the subject, but I just thought of this. Well, first of all, BPA says Neil Brown is wrong with most of his decisions when it comes to personnel. Yeah, I can't argue that point either. I saw today, this is how bad it's getting. Something's got to be done about this, Paul. Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to sit out the CFP to get ready for the NFL draft.
Yeah.
When a college football national championship means nothing to you, that's a problem. How do you solve it?
That's one that's unfortunately not solvable unless contracts are going to be one of the only ways to solve this issue. You know, the college football is doing everything the pros are doing except contracts. You know, these kids can take money from people and bounce out the next day. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And very little people to hold them accountable for that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they want to give the players this freedom. They've got to have, I mean, if you want to give them the freedom and the flexibility to make their own decisions, that's going to be an outcome that you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, you have to have somebody to govern it.
Yep.
Oliver Luck. There you go. There's a job for him.
Yeah.
You know,
Dark Mass says he's hurt, wasn't going to play. Well, the article I read didn't say that, but I knew he had been hurt. But well, if that's the case, if he was going to have to be out the game anyway, then it makes sense. But the way the article read, it didn't. Well, let me rephrase that. The way the headline of the article read, I didn't actually dig deep into the article. I just read the headline, so maybe I should have read the article before I spoke. But
what are you talking about?
the Jackson Smith and Jigba thing.
Oh,
Dark
yeah,
Mass said he was
he's
hurt.
been hurt. He's been hurt. I thought he got healthy there a couple weeks ago, though.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. And I don't think they would have written that article because, I mean, look at last year. The guy from Georgia, Pickens, he was hurt almost the whole season. Came back and played in the CFP.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they don't play till January 1, so he's got time to get healthy. Patrick says, "Congrats to my hometown high school, Williamstown, for winning state in single A. Yep, they beat James Monroe from right up the road where I live in the championship game." But yeah, the portal is definitely an issue. But one thing Paul and I were discussing before we jumped on here regarding West Virginia, what we're hearing coming out of Morgantown is that there's a handful of West Virginia players that are planning to enter the portal within the next 48 hours. But the coaching staff has asked them to meet with them before they make the decision. So I don't know if they're trying to get them some NIL money, maybe. I don't know what the deal is, but I guess they're trying to keep them. So apparently it's guys that Neil Brown made a comment in his last press conference that there are certain guys they're going to make an effort to keep. So apparently these guys that they're referring to must be on that list, I would imagine. My hunch is it's probably people like Caden Prather, maybe C.J. Donaldson, some folks like that they really want to keep in the fold. That's the rumors anyway. But who actually knows? I guess we will know in time. It's just this portal is so crazy. It's really hard to keep up with it. To be honest with you, it's bonkers, for lack of a better term.
I agree.
Let's get to some of the comments. Talkers Pitt says Slovis is in the portal and now Pitt got Phil Dracovic. Yeah, that's what we actually were talking about that just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Talkers Pitt, but yeah, you're right. I did see that. BPA says he let Daggy and Daniels play far too long. I agree. Bo Stacker says it's a shame that Tennessee's QB got hurt because that Tennessee Clemson game would have been fire. I totally agree with that too. Because it looks like Clemson had already benched Uyunglele for
Cade.
Was it? Yeah, Cade Klubnik.
Cade. Yeah.
Yeah, his name would escape me there for a minute. Silas, thanks for jumping on. Silas says Charles Woods went back home to SMU. I saw that. Look, right before I hopped on here, actually, I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah.
Silas says, I'm surprised Goose stayed this long. I actually thought Goose would. I think if had JT not come in, I thought Goose would get a shot to start, honestly. But JT kind of threw a wrench into that. Patrick Paper says, I hope everybody starts choosing Jackson State now. that would be kind of funny. Ain't gonna lie. I kind of feel bad for Jackson State because their program may go into the toilet now. I hope it doesn't. I'd like to see a lot of those guys. You know what I'd like to see happen? A lot of those guys that he recruited decide to stay and continue what they started. That would be cool.
Yeah.
You know? But you know what? You can't blame a kid for wanting to go play at a Power 5 program and improve their draft stock, you know?
Right.
But if that's the case, they should have probably done it in the first place. Says, I wonder if they are fleeing Neil Brown. It's hard to tell, Hank, and we'll probably never know the answer to that question. I think a lot of it will probably be NIL related.
Yeah, that's all it is.
More than likely. I'm sure there's going to be a few guys that are – I mean, I think Reese Smith is probably leaving because he wasn't getting utilized in the offense as much as he wanted to. Goose Crowder wasn't getting playing time. So I think you're going to see a lot of that too. Guys who probably want to play more or be utilized in a different way, things like that. BPA says, "How many wins does Neil Brown need to get next year to stay?" I think my personal opinion is 8, but he could probably get away with 7. Just to be honest.
Yeah.
What do you think, Paul?
I'm the same ballpark as you are on that. Right around there.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to see him win 8. Yeah.
Patrick says, "At this point, what does Neil have to lose? Just go all in, state players." That might not be the best route to take, Patrick. We'd only have about 5 guys on the field that are Power 5 caliber. Johnny Thacker says, "Expectations for Neil Brown this season to stay at WVU, or is he doomed to start?" I don't want to necessarily say he's doomed. I think a lot of it's going to depend on what happens in the portal and if he's able to hold his class together. Silas says Reese Smith probably has the best catch of the year for WVU. Yeah, he did have an awesome catch, man, and he took a freaking shot too and still held on to the ball.
Yeah, against TCU.
Yeah, that was a heck of a catch. Problem is, man, he just wasn't getting a lot of balls thrown his way. I don't know if that was his fault for not getting open. I don't know if it was the QB's fault for not getting the ball. I don't know the answer.
Well, so unfortunately, him and Sam James played the same position, and Sam James is just a little bit more talented than he is.
Yeah,
maybe a lot more. You know, and the thing with Sam James is he would disappear for a game here and there, but he could also break out like he did and score 3 in 1/2. You know, you never know with him.
Yep, you're right. You're absolutely right. Paul, is there anything else you wanted to talk about, man? We're pushing up on 9:45 here. I know it's not been a real long live stream, but
no, I
know you're under the weather, and
yeah, I'm not feeling good at all.
it's getting a little bit late here. I got my family's getting ready to go to bed here shortly. My kids, my wife, they all have to get up early. So, but I just wanted to hop on here, kind of do a quick live stream, talk about the transfer portal, and since today was the first day it was open officially for everybody, talk a little bit about the CFP teams that were chosen. Hank popped in with a comment, says, "But does Graham Harrell know how to use a running quarterback?" Yeah, I think he does. I mean, I think he showed that with Garrett Green. I'd like to
Mason Fine.
Yeah, and he did it with Mason Fine at North Texas. Speaking of North Texas, another good topic we can talk about real quick.
Okay.
For those of you who may not realize it on the chat, North Texas actually fired their coach, Seth Luttrell.
Yep.
And Graham Harrell used to be the offensive coordinator under Seth Luttrell before he went to USC. That was his first offensive coordinator job. So he actually has connections there. There's been some talk he could be considered for the head coaching position. Graham Harrell has also been mentioned as a potential candidate for the offensive coordinator job at South Carolina because they let their offensive coordinator go. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens with our coaching staff. Does Jordan Leslie stay? Does Graham Harrell stay? Do we keep our position coaches in place? It'll be interesting to see how all that plays out during the off season.
Agreed.
Johnny Packer says, "Get better, Paul. Praying for you."
Thanks, Johnny. I appreciate it, man.
But well, guys, listen.
Hey, Coos is always there for me when I need him, so I wasn't going to turn him down tonight.
Dark Mass says, "Was Wren the one to fire Luttrell?" No, it was actually neither. I think the president did it, is my understanding, because I think Baker has already moved on to focus on the West Virginia job, and the statement I read was the president coming out making a statement, said that they were not happy with the results on the field and they wanted to go a different direction. Now, there's been some talk that maybe that Baker and the president had that discussion before the season, and that it had already been determined that, hey, if they don't win X number of games, he's out. But interestingly enough, Wren Baker is not the guy. He didn't hire Seth Luttrell either. Seth Luttrell was actually already the coach when Wren Baker got to North Texas. But he did really well in his first year. So Wren Baker gave him an extension that got him up through, I think, this season. So, and I'm not sure how many years he had left on his contract, but So Ren Baker did not hire Seth Luttrell at North Texas, but he did give him an extended contract at some point. Alan Aaron on here says, let's go WU Mountaineers and Marshall Thundering Herd. Blake Green says, have a feeling that if Graham gets the North Texas job, Goose will be his quarterback there. I could see that maybe playing out that way. I think it'd be good for Goose to go somewhere where he'd have an opportunity to get more playing time. Patrick Pamper says, bring Pat White home. That would definitely be exciting to see him on the sidelines. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, guys, listen, we're going to jump off of here. I really appreciate everybody hopping on here with us tonight for this short 40-minute live stream. What's up, Cole? Thanks for hopping on here, brother. We're actually just getting ready to hop off, but we appreciate you coming on. Paul's under the weather. It's getting late here on the Eastern time zone, as most of you probably know. So I got people get ready for work and school tomorrow. So, guys, thank you, everybody on here, for all of your support. Don't forget, I'm going to be doing, for all you channel members out there who are listening, I'm going to be doing a Capital One Bowl Mania contest for channel members. So if you want to get in on that contest, join my channel. The membership's not free, obviously, but the Bowl Mania contest is free. All members are going to be included. And then, and real quick, Fanatics just came out with the West Virginia jerseys you can buy. You can get them customized with your favorite player's name on the back of the jersey. And whatever player you choose gets NIL money for the purchase. And if you use the link that I put in my community tab on my YouTube channel, if you use that link, I'll get a little bit of commission off the sale. Plus, you'll be helping out your favorite player. And if you make that order by midnight tonight, you save $27.50 on your purchase. You get a $109 jersey. I think it's $82.50, something like that. You get for that purchase. So anyway, listen, guys, I'm gonna hop off of here real quick. Thank you everybody for tuning in to this live stream. Until the next time, I'm out, and Q Country Roads.